Greetings and welcome to MTOK News, bringing you information of the Christian world. I'm your national news anchor, Dustin Pfeiffer. And before I talk about our first story, I do want to give a quick disclaimer and advisory. Our first story doesn't contain content that may be sensitive to younger viewers, as it does contain words that younger viewers should not hear. Though not curse words, they are words that should not be heard and may be found sensitive to a younger audience. So our first story tonight. As I reported last week, an Oklahoma pastor was killed. Information has come to light as to the details of his death. Information that was reported by the police stated that the Oklahoma pastor was involved in at least once in a love triangle, which involved David Evans, Christy Evans, and Khalil Square. Reported by the police found that their information was leading that they were involved in a sexual relations at a Motel Super 8 3 months prior. Khalil Square shot David Evans in the head while he was asleep. His wife reported to Khalil that David allegedly was verbally abusing her. While David was in Mexico on a mission trip, Christy and Khalil planned his murder. On the night of the murder, Christy Evans left the back door unlocked for Khalil to enter into the home. Khalil entered into the home where Christy met Khalil in the living room. Christy waited in the living room while Khalil went into the bedroom and shot David in the head. Both are being held in prison, and there is no current information as to whether they have lawyers or not. Continue to be in prayer over the situation, that information continues to come to light, and that the truth is reached. But also lets us go to show that even pastors and teachers of Christianity are still humans, as we've seen with the recent case with Ravi Zacharias. As taken in a recent press release by Harmony, my apologies. As in a recent press release, Harmony Free Will Baptist Church noted as being surprised to the circumstances that are now coming to light, and they are greatly saddened. Now on to our next story. There is a memorial dispute in a town called Monument. In a town called Monument, the activist group is claiming that there is a violation of separation of church and state from a monument honoring the men and women who have served in this country. Now, this monument was started by an Eagle Scout who wanted to honor his father who served in the United States military. The legal group known as the First Liberty Institute, who is representing the town of Monument, has stated that the memorial was built using private donations that the Eagle Scout had gathered. The memorial is privately designed and privately maintained and is currently sitting on a private burial plots at the town of Monument Cemetery. The phrase that was in question as to the violation of the separation of church and state was this: "Only two defining forces have ever offered to die for you, Jesus Christ and the American soldier. One died for your soul, the other died for your freedom. We honor those who made freedom a reality." First Liberty Institute called out the group for filing this suit, calling it a disrespectful act to attack a minor. Now we are going to go over to John with our international report.
All right, well, thank you for those reports, Dustin. We'll be sure to follow those up. And with that, let's go to your international report for the week. So we're starting in Laos, where Human Rights Watch is calling for a pastor to be set free. Early last year, Pastor Sifong Pathong, I hope I'm saying that correctly, started a house church on his farm. The government was not happy with this. He refused to cease his ministry despite repeated warnings from the government. Many note that this man's continued detention is a serious human rights violation, and that he must be immediately released and issued an apology. A local from his village claims he was arrested for teaching religion, though as far as I can find, no official report was released concerning his arrest. Initially, his sentence was 6 months. Also, his family were barred from seeing him. Further reports indicate that his wife has been repeatedly harassed, including the confiscation of her motorbike. He is scheduled to be tried next week, so be sure to follow this one up. Now we're going into Mali, where we have some really sad news, where a sister can be put to rest. So Beatrice Stokely, a Christian missionary was abducted in 2016 by an Islamic terrorist group. Her remains have been discovered, and DNA tests confirm they are her. She was involved with mission work since 2000. She was reported dead in October when a fellow captive, Sophie Petronen, who was released after converting to Islam, stated that Beatrice was shot by their captors. Please lift this family up in your prayers and all the people she has touched through her many years of service and ministry. We're going back to India again, where there is violence for conversion. 10 Christians were beaten and forced to reconvert to a tribal religion after a controversial burial. So, Lakshu Nag, who lived in Kingur, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, village located in Chhattisgarh, approached Pastor Dalaram Kashyap and asked him for prayer. Nag, who had been a tribal animist, had been sick for over a year. 2 days after receiving prayer, he passed away. When they were attempting to bury his body, the villagers refused because he'd received Christian prayer. Then it escalated. Pastor Kashyap, as well as other Christians, were assaulted. Christians were told that they must attend a reconversion ceremony. Those who refused were violently attacked. Some recanted their Christian faith. Others fled the village after being forced to worship tribal deities. Police are doing next to nothing, telling the Christians that they must resolve the issues with the villagers. This has led to more problems, and as for Nag, he was buried in a different village which housed a Christian cemetery. And unfortunately, the bad news just keeps coming, because we're now going to Iran, where, and I know I'm going to mispronounce these names, and I am very sorry up front. Humayun Chava and Sarah Ahmadi, 2 Christian converts, have received summons to report to prison. Many are trying to appeal. So what was the couple's charges? Membership in a local house church. Many are not surprised by the court's decision. Christians in Iran have regularly been treated this way. The issue is that Humayun is 62 years old and suffers from Parkinson's disease. But there is no leniency on his sentence. Continue to pray for both of them as they go through this time of persecution. We're going to a large report in China where a preacher from Early Rain Covenant Church was arrested and taken away on April 1st. Wu King was taken at about 9 a.m. Thursday morning. This is actually the 3rd time this week that he has been detained. ERCC has been heavily persecuted by the Chinese government since the arrest of Pastor Wang Yi. They have done everything from arresting the clergy to cutting off their utilities. Still, the Christians are remaining strong in their faith. Furthermore, another house church was ransacked by local authorities in Hebei province. In Sanhe City, the church was attacked. Pastor Caleb Yang reports that the authorities broke down the door when they were denied entry. They removed many things, including speakers and a guitar. They also destroyed the church's property, including posters and anything religiously related. On top of that, the authorities forced the landlord to end the lease for the church. Note, this is a small church with only 40 members or so. Pastor Yang says he is still comforted because God will have justice. He trusts God despite everything the authorities can throw at him. This is a story that, while sad, we can see the persistence of our brother's faith. We're going over to the Congo, where 23 Christians were killed by Allied Democratic Forces, supposed Allied Democratic Forces, or ADF. This is an Islamic extremist group with goals of establishing an Islamic caliphate in Africa. As of last year, they were recognized as a terrorist organization. Although most of the Congo population is Christian, due to attacks like this, the country has been placed at number 40 on the list of most persecuted countries for Christians in 2021. And lastly, we will end with Pakistan. So because of attacks during previous years, Christians are taking extra precautions to prepare for this year's Easter services. Over the past couple of years, many Christians trying to worship during this time of year have fallen victim to suicide bombers from extremist groups. Other extremists use this opportunity to attack greater numbers of believers. And as always, please continue to lift up each of these situations to God in prayer. Pray for both the persecuted and the persecutors. And with that, we will head right over to your top story.
Thank you guys for staying tuned with us on MTOK News. Now it is time for our top news, or as we're now calling it, our hot topic. So our hot topic for today is Nike is suing Lil Nas for the shoes that were being produced by him and an artist. And yeah, Nike apparently did not authorize it as for the cause of this lawsuit. John, what's your take on it?
Well, I just remember that there was a huge controversy when all of this came out. And Nike, from what I read, they're not happy about their name being attached to this because many have decided to boycott Nike over the release of these what are called Satan shoes.
So the Nike shoe uses Luke 10:18 as its scripture verse on the side. And Luke 10:18 says, he replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Now, when I first read about this and I told John about this, we came to the same conclusion. This is not something that we joke about. I mean, there's a joke that there's blood at the bottom of this shoe. What kind of blood? I don't know. And I wouldn't care to know. But this is demonic and satanic. And I'm actually glad, even though Nike's not suing them for this reason, I'm just glad that they're actually going after somebody for taking over their creative influence. Because they were using a Nike Air Max 97s as the shoe template for the 666 pairs. The demonic pairs, which had 666 pairs of them made.
Yeah, I think it's sad, and we're not attacking anybody. Of course, it is sad that these were made to begin with, and Nike, as we said, they're not happy about their name being attached to this. They're not happy about the repercussions that have already begun. Many people have said that they will boycott Nike because they did believe this shoe was made and endorsed by Nike. So many have stated that they would boycott the company from here on out. And Nike was not happy about, that. I mean, yeah.
So what I will say, if you see stuff like this, because I can guarantee this is not going to be the last time you're going to see stuff like this being by people who are using already branded names and trying to put their name attached to it. Unless you see the actual company come out and say, yeah, we support this, or yeah, we're putting this out. This is an official shoe or official product being supported by this company. Unless they do that, really, do your research before you go and say, I'm boycotting. Okay, we're not attacking anybody, but do so because it does hurt innocent people, and we don't want to hurt. You don't want to hurt innocent people who had nothing to do with this.
And on top of that, you really need to do your research, and you really need to approach it from a Christian perspective. Yes, these are wrong, but attacking them viciously is not the way to do it. We need to approach this a Christian way.
We need to prayerfully do this, and also, and it's not a popular opinion, but as Christians, we're not supposed to attack Lil Nas for what he did. We're supposed to pray, an intercession of prayer for him. We need to ask God to work a miracle in his heart to change him from these evil ways. Because honestly, what he did is not much worse than what many of us have done and we've been forgiven for. Nobody's beyond forgiveness. No one is beyond salvation. Surely not Lil Nas. Instead of attacking him or Nike, be in prayer. Honestly, be in prayer.
Yes. And of course, that doesn't mean you have to support the shoes, and that doesn't mean you have to support what was done. But as a Christian, your responsibility is to love this person and to pray for them regardless of what has happened.
So thank you. And we're going to ask you to stay tuned as we go over to Christopher with our media report.
Hello, I'm Christopher, and I'll be doing the media report for the week. And we'll be listing the top 10 Christian songs for the week. And at number 10, we have Fires by Jordan St. Cyr. At number 9, we have House of the Lord by Phil Wickham. At number 8, we have Graves in the Gardens, the live version, by Elevation Worship and Brandon Lake. At number 7, we have Less Like Me by Zach Williams. Williams. Sorry. At number 6, we have Battle Belongs by Phil Wickham. At number 5, we have Good God Almighty, the radio version by Crowder. At number 4, we have Help Is on the Way, Maybe Midnight by Toby Mac. At number 3, we have You Say by Lauren Daigle. At number 2, we have Jireh. By the way, I'm sorry if I mispronounced the names. Featuring Chandler Moore and Naomi Rain by Elevation Worship and Maverick City Music. And at number 1 this week, we have Hold On To Me by Lauren Daigle. And now we'll go to the organization for the week.
Thank you, Christopher, for our media report. Now on to our organization of the week. And this week's organization is Hope International. This organization helps provide financial aid to those who are below the poverty line in multiple countries. Their mission statement is to invest in the dreams of families in the world, underserved communities as we proclaim and live the gospel. How do they do this? They say that we share the hope of Christ as we provide biblically based training, saving services, and loans that restore dignity and break the cycle of poverty. They are motivated by the love of Jesus Christ. Motivates them to identify with those living in poverty and be his hands and feet as we strive to glorify God. We thank you guys and have a blessed week.